and with a hail of the envoy's arm, the bodyguard brought forth the bow, 5 men carrying at one end and 5 carrying the other, and the remaining 30 dragging up between them a quiver filled full of flaming arrows. The ambassador took the little bow in her hand and fixed to the cord to the bowstring a shining shaft of steel. The cord twanged. Prince Vladimir stepped quickly aside. The arrow journeyed forth, and the tree was shivered so that the sun streamed through. Prince Vladimir stood there watching and said into his royal beard, "I will prove her again. If she be a woman, she will have no taste for wrestling. Will it please you?" he said courteously. Ambassador to the stern king, yet Manuelovich, to try a bout of wrestling. And Prince Vladimir gathered together his bold wrestlers and assembled them into a great company. "You have bold wrestlers then, as well as expert bowmen," said the ambassador. "I have wrestled with children in my childhood and can but do a man's best effort." And so saying, she grasped 2 brave wrestlers in one heroic arm, and 3 brave wrestlers in her other heroic arm, and she cracked their skulls together until Prince Vladimir begged the wrestler with children to spare his brave heroes. The ambassador now looked at Prince Vladimir and said, "Prince Vladimir, I have come here to woo your daughter Lovely in honorable marriage, and if you will not give her to me with your blessing, I will take her with your curse." "You have my consent to marry my daughter," said Prince Vladimir, "and with such a wooer, her own consent does not greatly matter." And Prince Vladimir took that occasion to have a great wedding feast prepared, which lasts with intervals for rest for the space of 3 full days. And on the morning when the ambassador and Princess Lovely were to be led to the church to take their royal crowns, the ambassador was found sitting in the hallway, filled with despair. "Whatever is the matter?" said Prince Vladimir when he saw him. "I do not know," said the envoy. "It may be that my father has died or my mother, and this heaviness is my grief. Call for your harpers to come and play. Perhaps they can dispel this heaviness." And so the harpers were called, and they played grand music. They told the tales of Stavr, the hero, of Ilya Bram, and of Ivan, son of Golden Tress. And though they played for all their worth, it did not dispel the heaviness felt by the ambassador. And finally, the harpers left. As the ambassador sat there, he said, "You know, I have heard in my own home of a harper who plays on a harp of maple wood, whose name is Stavr. Stavr, from Chernigov. Send for him. Perhaps he can dispel this heaviness." "If I do not call for Stavr," thought Prince Vladimir, "I may anger the stern king, yet Manuelovich, yet if I bring him up here, he will be released from my prison." But he did it. He called for Stavr, and Stavr was brought with his harp of maple wood, and he began to play great heroic ballads and soothing, heartbreaking love songs of the constancy of love. And as he played, the ambassador who sat listening fell asleep. The greatest honor to pay to any minstrel, any musician. And while Stavr continued to play, the ambassador had sweet dreams. And then upon awaking with a sigh, he looked at Vladimir and said, "A boon, O prince. Allow me to take Stavr of Chernigov with me out to the White Pavilion so that he might entertain my bodyguard as he has entertained me." And there was nothing for the prince to say, nor Stavr himself at this high compliment. And so Stavr walked out with the ambassador from the palace. And as he walked beside his wife Vasilisa to that pavilion, Vasilisa looked at her husband and she said, "Do you not know me, Stavr?" And he blinked his eyes and he rubbed them with his hands and he said, "After being in such a dungeon for such a time, I cannot recognize faces from far off years." And Vasilisa looked at him and she said, "Stupid! You do not recognize, would not recognize your own wife, Vasilisa, of whom you made your boast?" And Stavr looked, and he was very vexed. "I would know my wife, Vasilisa, if I had been in prison for 13 years. "Stupider and stupider," said Vasilisa. "You would not know your wife after 3 short months." And now here they reached the pavilion, and as they entered inside, Vasilisa left Stavr, and she went off, and she put on her own royal garments, and she put a coif upon her head to hide her short hair. And then she walked back out to Stavr, who looked at her, his eyes widened, his mouth dropped open. And he dropped his harp of maple wood onto the lap of moist Mother Earth. "Vasilisa, my darling, we must run, and we must run from here fast and far." "We will not run from here, Stavr. We will not run away. We shall march away." And Vasilisa led her husband, Stavr, back into the palace, back to Prince Vladimir, where they told him all their tale. Prince Vladimir was amused at the jest. "Ah, I now see why you have made your boast of your wife," said Prince Vladimir. "But what of Lovely? She is expecting to be wed to her bridegroom this very day." And Vasilisa said, "Perhaps now Lovely will choose her own husband. May he play the harp as well as Stavr the noble, but may he boast not so well."